Welcome to the booty series. I am starting with all bilateral movements, which basically means both legs. Now here is your standard squat. My feet are a little wider than I normally would stand for a squat, and that's only because I have that prego belly in the middle. That's limiting my range of motion. Right here is a half squat. So you saw the difference between a full range and a half. The half squat is actually working more quadriceps. So if you're trying to work that booty, you don't want to do that half rep squat. Now this is a harder squat. It's called a front squat. I try to get my elbows to my thighs, pushing up through my heels. See, my toes are always light. So I just kind of lift my toes up a little bit as I'm down. Now here is a sumo squat. On this one, it is actually more comfortable for me because it is naturally a wider stance with the toes slightly turned out. Definitely hitting the inner thighs, outer thighs, and glutes. Of course, when you're doing squats, you're going to be hitting the quads and the hamstrings as well. Now this is a variation to a sumo squat. I call this a suitcase squat. So it might be a little easier because you get a little break in between. So one is with weight and one is without. I'm putting the weight down on the step, and that's a lot easier for those who can't actually get all the way down to the floor. Now we're on to deadlifts. As you see, I'm getting the weights down to about mid-shin. I'm using two 15-pound dumbbells. But feel free to bring that up a couple notches. If I was at the gym, I'd probably be using 30s to be honest, but this is all I have at home. When you're doing these deadlifts, see how I'm pushing my hips forward at the top? It's a little squeeze, and squeeze those butt cheeks at the top. That'll help activate it. Speaking of activation, I like to finish with these half reps. So you're literally just doing a half rep. I'm not standing all the way up. When I come up, it's a little squeeze at the top. Please note that some of this video is sped up, not this part, but a lot of it has been, just so I can fit everything in. Now those were walking lunges. Here's a different variation. It's called a zigzag lunge. I call these the monkeys because you're stepping outside to side. But you want to keep your toes slightly forward, so don't turn your toes all the way into the direction that you're stepping. Now here is one of my favorites, are pulse lunges with a lift. So you're working both sides. This is a stationary alternating front lunge. If your knees bother you on this, the little modification to this is an alternating back lunge, which is what I actually prefer. It's a lot more comfortable for me, but everybody is different. And again, this is sped up a little bit. I'm actually going a lot slower than this. Here is a hack squat. Now this is my rendition of a Smith machine hack squat. So you want to keep the weight pretty much next to you, a little bit behind you. Drive through the heels. See how my toes are kind of lifted? That's because I don't want to push up through the balls of my feet.